rule, okay? Because an author can write that my ancestors looked visibly whatever the hell he wants to speculate on, but we don't go on the opinions of a European professor. We go on government documentation. And the funny thing is, if you go to the Dawes Roll, Thomas J. Adams is listed on the Dawes Roll at 57 years old as a full-blooded Creek by blood. Guys, if Thomas J. Adams Harjo had any African heritage, this would not say full blood.
Well,
This would say no blood quantum because he's a freedman, or it would say 1/2 blood quantum, or maybe like 1/16, or like 1/8. But wait a minute, this don't make no sense, y'all. Rob was up here and Rob thought he was cooking. Rob says, yo, Mike, you claim you ain't no African, but some author claimed your ancestor was an African.
Hold on. My man. So I like how you tried to frame it, saying a European stated what your ancestor was. But you didn't know during that whole time when I was reading, such as this. So go ahead and screenshot this real quick. Y'all can read that later. But listen, what you didn't want to say is, this is a descendant from the same person you're descended from, right? Also, this is an interview. You wanted to focus on where they said visibly African, but notice this. Grayson. If you go to the very beginning, I'll show that too. You go to the very beginning. That's what this book is about, the Grayson family, specifically the Black Graysons. Now, this is the most important part of this whole interview, which you didn't want to repeat, and I repeated 3 times. And you even muted me. Hold on. Now, go ahead and screenshot this. All right, so the most important part is right here. When I run into someone who denies his Black ancestry, he concluded, I remind him of one of his cousins I know. That's the most damning thing. But we're going to get into how this is damning. I'll sit there and I'll agree with you. Okay, if you don't want to claim that Thomas Adams had no Black African ancestry, you want to claim that, that's fine. But check this out.
Is trace your family tree, and I highly recommend using Ancestry.com for that. Don't get it twisted. Ancestry.com does sell those fraudulent DNA testing kits. I'm not talking about a mouse swab. I'm not talking about a DNA test. No. We're talking about paper trail genealogical research. Now, a lot of Black Americans think that they got to trace their lineage back to like the 1600s, 1700s. While we can do that, in order to establish tribal citizenship, we don't have to go back that far. I say early 1800s is a solid starting point. You can see that I've got my father's side traced to about the early 1800s, mother's side traced to the late 1700s. But if you trace your lineage back to the early 1800s, it's a pretty solid foundation. Now, the reason why I say that is because a lot of us have ancestors who were card-carrying American Indians in much recent years than we may realize. For example, if I was to highlight my most recent lineal ancestor that was a card-carrying American Indian, it would be this guy, Pleasant Tobler. And you see he was born in 1903. That's not really that far back at all. But you know what I want to do? I want to do something special. I want to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I want to show you right now how you can not only follow a 3-step process to get reparations, but I want to also give you a history lesson on racial reclassification. So although Pleasant Tobler is the most recent lineal ancestor of mine, that's a card-carrying American Indian, for today's lesson, I think we want to focus on Thomas.
Yo, that's the meanest sidestep. Hey, why would you focus on Thomas when Pleasant is the most recent card-carrying, you said American Indian? Well, let's not go to Thomas. Let's look at Pleasant, shall we? Now, if you would notice, this is your tree, correct? Pleasant Tobler. This is exactly the screenshot from the video you just did. And you see there says Mary Adams, and then her father would be Thomas Adams. So let's look at Pleasant Tobler. You know, this is the application, right? See where it says Mary Adams? That's how old she was. But if you also look down, do you see what it says? Is he a Creek freedman or a citizen by blood? He is a colored gentleman, but I don't know what town he belongs to. So, I know what you're going to think. Oh, he still can be Indian, right? But sometimes when you say stuff and you try to fraud your way out, this happens.
Guys, if Thomas J. Adams Harjo had any African heritage, this would not say full blood. This would say no blood quantum because he's a freedman, or it would say 1/2 blood quantum.
Oh, yeah, I know this is Thomas Adams, but here's the magic. Now watch the screen. Oh, is that Pleasant Tobler? Look at the blood quantum. Hold on.
Had any African heritage, this would not say full blood. This would say no blood quantum because he's a freedman, or it would say 1/2 blood quantum, 1/2 blood quantum, 1/2 blood quantum.
Oh, my German friend, do you see what I just did, right? So Pleasant Tobler, according to you, is your ancestor. You descend from Pleasant, and you see that says half. Oh, wait a minute. Let me just re-show that so you can't squirm out of that one. See? Same one. And guess what? Who is Pleasant's father? Ding! Fred Tobler, right there. Fuck out of here, man. And since this is public and I really don't respect grifters, I'm going to do this. So this is the other side of your tree. And don't worry, it didn't come from you. You got other family members that actually did your tree. And you would know this to be true because there's a couple key things on here. So that's a lot of German. So you German though, right? My German friend. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that when you talk about Europeans and like that, but you like European, you like of the German type. That shit's just wild to me. But here's another thing that I do want to ask you, my little scam artist German dude. So this is back in the time when you was FBA, and you also did what, Zesty TV? That's what it was before you rebranded. Why does it say you were exposed for this? Huh, that's kind of crazy, right?
Hi,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. What about you?
Oh my gosh, I'm doing better now. You're like so cute. Oh
Oh, thank you. Where are you from? You too.
my gosh, I'm from like wherever you are, because that's where I want to be.
That was about painful to watch. But yeah, that's when you was part of that Zesty TV where you would do this and thought this was funny. And from what they were saying is they think this was a minor, so that you were doing this too. So doing strange bits like this to minors is just wild. Even just doing this to another human being is wild. But so it just seems like you've been part of grifts this whole time. All these videos is actually entertaining because it looks like you had gotten a lot of trouble. Now you found, you got some native ancestry, and now you want to push this with some weird ass information. Because I've seen how you debate too. So you're more than welcome to come to our panel, and I won't mute you like you've done me, and I won't even drop you. I just shred every piece of bullshit that you got, partner. I get it. You're trying to get some reparations because you need money. But I'm gonna leave you with this. So I noticed your blood quantum says 132. What was it you said? Was it an if you had African ancestry, it'd be like 1/2, 1/8, 1/16? Yours says 132. Y'all telling yourselves every fucking time. All right, my German friend.